Hello and welcome. My name is Paige Matillo, and it is my pleasure to guide you through the Catholic Cemeteries Association's video series on pre-planning. This series is designed to equip you with all the essential information that you need to pre-plan your final arrangements. Today, we're going to introduce you to our pre-planning coordinator, go over the steps for pre-planning, and review the burial planning process. So let's start by meeting our pre-planning coordinator, Brian Strawn. How are you?
Good, Paige. How are you?
Thank
you for having me.
No problem. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I started with the Catholic Cemeteries Association last year. So my tenure has been relatively new. In that time, I have learned an awful lot. Prior to that, the majority of my professional career has been also through the diocese, but in an educational setting. My primary responsibilities now through the Catholic Cemetery Association as the pre-planning coordinator correlates a lot to what I was doing in the past, and that simply is just to educate people on the importance of pre-planning your burial arrangements through the Catholic Cemeteries Association.
So Brian, what is pre-planning?
Pre-planning is more or less peace of mind. It is very important. Important for not only the individual, but important for that individual's loved ones who are left behind, both family members, close relatives, friends, all the above. There are 3 simple steps that I like to say when it comes to pre-planning your burial arrangements. One is attending a seminar, okay? Those seminars are conducted by myself. They occur either at one of our 8 offices throughout the diocese, our cemetery offices, or they happen at a specific parish. Step 2 is scheduling a meeting with one of our family service representatives at one of our 8 offices. That's very important because it really gets the ball rolling on the pre-planning process. You really dive into specifics. You have all the information you need at your fingertips. The FSRs are the real professionals when it comes to pre-planning. And then the third step would be finalizing those plans.
What are the steps for the burial planning process?
So you want to start with selecting your cemetery, and then you want to start with selecting your burial type. Are you going to be traditional burial? Are you going to be a cremation burial? There's a lot of different options, okay? So people need to understand what their options are, okay, before obviously making a decision. Step 3 is selecting your place of burial and your memorialization. So specifically within the cemetery, what section, meaning what location am I going to be in? And then when we talk about memorialization, what we mean is more commonly for a traditional in-ground, a headstone. Step 4 is planning your funeral and your wake, and that's going to happen primarily through your funeral home of choice and your parish. And there's a lot of specifics involved with that, but that's handled primarily through the funeral home. And then last is finally, once you've finalized all your plans, is sharing that with your family and your loved ones. So again, what I'm saying is when you're talking about planning, the 5 steps to planning your burial planning process, it's important to understand you're working with 3 separate entities. 1 is the cemetery, okay? 2 is going to be the funeral home, and then 3 is going to be your parish of choice, where you would like that funeral mass, okay? So it's important for people to understand that. 3 separate entities, which is going to constitute 3 separate meetings, which is going to constitute also 3 separate decisions. So people need to understand that.
Thank you so much for joining us. That's all we're going to cover for today. In future episodes, we're going to be going into more depth into the burial planning process. So in our next episode, we will talk about selecting a cemetery.